Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Today, we were feeling the heat. The excessive heat warning is now in effect when it comes to the inland valleys. So that will go all the way until Tuesday. The same for the mountains, but there has been an adjustment when it comes to the desert. We had highs today, 113 degrees for Borrego Springs. You had widespread 90s across inland areas. 93 degrees for Fallbrook today, also 97 degrees. That was for Escondido, the same for Ramona, and we even had the 90s extending into the mountains. 90 degrees today for Palomar Mountain, 91 for Julian. We had a slight dip in temperatures closer towards the coast. Yesterday we had those widespread low 80s. Now a little bit of a change up in the forecast came because we had a coastal eddy that developed overnight, and so that pushed in a little cloud cover, and that helped to cool temperatures a little bit more by today. 73 degrees was the high for Del Mar. We also had 78 for downtown. Temperatures will go back up again just by a little bit for the coast, and talking about being above seasonal, that will be the case by the second half of the weekend. So we'll get to that coming up. But we are still talking about the marine layer being rather shallow, so that means confined closer towards the coast with the potential for some patchy fog as well as those low clouds. The peak of the heat is expected on Sunday. Temperatures will also even warm up for the coast back into those 80s because we're going to cut off that onshore push, and it's more of a light offshore wind that looks to pick up by Sunday. So as a result, that's when the peak of the heat is anticipated. Could be dealing with some record-breaking temperatures for the mountains and the desert across Southern California. By next week, not as hot, but still hot. Still talking about temperatures above seasonal. Still talking about widespread 90s across inland areas with triple-digit heat in the desert. But whether or not we see a continuation when it comes to the excessive heat warning is yet to be determined. Maybe potentially for the desert, but temperatures, even talking about being above seasonal with upper 90s, could also see an extension for the mountains. So we just kind of have to wait and see when it comes to that. This weekend, we have the Pride Parade, so we are celebrating here at CBS 8. We will be out there, and hopefully you will be too. If you're not going to be out there, though, if you want to just stay indoors, it is going to be a little toasty, a lot of sunshine out there. I don't blame you. You can also watch it like you're watching this weather forecast right now on our CBS 8 Plus weather app or CBS 8 Plus streaming service. Also on the app, we will also be sending you links to try to point you in that direction if you do want to catch the festivities. But if you're going to be out there walking with us or right there on the sidelines, please say hi and keep in mind lots of sunshine. UV index will be at extreme, strong sunshine, climbing temperatures. By 10 a.m. in Hillcrest, it's already going to be 75 degrees. Also talking about light winds out of the southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So come out and have some fun with us, but also make sure you are protecting yourself. Stay nice and hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Wearing light-colored, lightweight, loose-fitted clothing will also be another way to help beat the heat, as we are going to be dealing with even more by this weekend. This ridge of high pressure we've been monitoring over the past few days has mainly been over the southern states and just towards the east of us, but that ridge is starting to amplify a little bit more right along the west, and as a result, a lot of heat is in store, not just for Southern California and for San Diego County. We are talking about the entire state. We'll be dealing with highs that will be in the 90s as well as triple digits for this weekend. So it continues to build in, bringing that heat. And that's why we're anticipating the peak of the heat being on Sunday because of that close proximity. You're going to see that coming up with another graphic where you're going to see a big distinction when it comes to some really deep reds and purples indicating a hotter air mass on Sunday once it gets closer towards us. So you have mild conditions still at the coast compared to the rest of the county. We'll have 70s for tomorrow for daytime highs, back into those widespread low 80s by Sunday. Soaring temperatures across inland areas, as mentioned, possible record heat we could be dealing with by this weekend because of that area of high pressure. When it comes to those heat warnings, we still have the one that's in effect all the way until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, the excessive heat warning for the mountains as well as for the inland valleys. That is with daytime highs in the 90s and triple digits, especially for the mountains below 5,000 feet. There has been an extension when it comes to the excessive heat warning. That's for the desert. We're talking 115 to 122 when it comes to temperatures, and that has been extended all the way until Wednesday night at 11 p.m. We could potentially even be dealing with yet another extension, maybe even a heat advisory, because you're going to see it coming up on your 8-day. Even though high pressure system starts to weaken just a little bit, we're still going to be locked into some heat. So as mentioned, it becomes a little bit more amplified. You're seeing more of those deeper fuchsia colors, more of those deeper reds as that area of high pressure moves closer towards us. That's why we're anticipating the peak of that heat on Sunday. We start to back off a little bit more by the start of next week into the middle of next week, and you're seeing not as intense when it comes to the air mass over us, and that's because of an area of low pressure is going to push that high pressure system more so towards the east. But that doesn't mean let your guard down. Temperatures will remain above seasonal by next week. Ways to beat the heat. You're going to be seeing this graphic a whole lot this summer because it is our best tool to leave you informed and make sure you are protecting yourself out there, especially with heat-related illnesses being the #1 killer here in this country. You're talking about a whole lot of heat anticipated this weekend, so drink plenty of water. Make sure you're taking frequent breaks in the shade. Avoid strenuous outdoor activities, especially during the midday hours. We're still talking about the closures of a lot of trails out there, especially across the mountains, where triple digits are anticipated for this weekend. You have to avoid strenuous outdoor activities like hiking, like exercising around 11 a.m. all the way until 3 p.m. Also wearing light colored, lightweight, loose fitted clothing, as I mentioned, especially if you're going to be out there tomorrow at Pride. And then also never leave your pets and your kids unattended in vehicles. Those temperatures can quickly soar in our vehicles. It might be 90 degrees with the air temperature outside, but it can get up to about 120 plus in a vehicle within minutes. You definitely do not want that to happen. You're having maybe a beach day because you want to get away from the heat. If you're going to go closer towards the coast, the water temperature will be 68 degrees. Also the surf about 2 to 4 feet with a moderate risk of rip currents at our local beaches. Please be careful out there. And you're going to be out in the water. If you're not a skilled swimmer, you're advised to not be in the water. So we have the 8-day microclimate forecast that shows those upper 70s to low 80s. That takes us into the start of next week. You're still looking at those upper 70s through much of next week for the coastal communities, and of course still mild compared to the rest of the county because of that marine influence and the return of the marine layer. 90s will take us into the start of next week, mid to upper 90s across inland areas, back into the low 90s by next week with lots of sunshine. Triple-digit heat felt for the mountains on Sunday. Upper 90s look to stick around for much of next week. That's what I'm talking about. You might still have a heat advisory, maybe just not the excessive heat warning that's set to expire in the mountains, and that would be on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. But of course, we'll keep you posted on that. And the one teens in the desert aren't going anywhere until Saturday of next week. Thanks for tuning in. Please be careful out there.